everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have some arranged marriage romance recommendations to share with you. So I don't think I've done this romance recommendations video before ever on my channel. If I have, it's been a while since I've done it, so I'm actually really excited for the list of books to talk about. I do have a long list, I'm not gonna lie. I do have a long list, and it was so easy to come up with these books to add to this video. So with all that being said, it might be a long one, but let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first book I have is actually kind of a fantasy romance, which one is perfect for the fall and winter. So of course I'm gonna add some of those in here, and that's Radiance by Grace Draven. I love this fantasy romance. This is one of my absolute favorite fantasy romances of all time. It is a friends to lovers arranged marriage romance. So the reason why I love this so much is because both of these characters are two different species. Literally, they're two different species. This is the Fake Crate exclusive edition. Our female character, Ildiko, is actually a human, and our main male character, Brishan, is actually what they call a Kai. So she is a human. She lives during the day. She can go in sunlight and stuff like that. And he is a creature of the night. So he spends most of his time awake during the night and sleeping during the day, which is literally the complete opposite of her. When they're forced to get married, it's more of a political marriage. So it's kind of like just to keep the peace between two different kingdoms. So it's not like a super important marriage. They have to learn to live together in this book. And they just are trying to work out each other. They're trying to figure out each other. They're trying to figure out how to live together. She's trying to get used to the way of the Kai because there is no other human in that kingdom with her because she goes to live with him. And they have very different ways of eating things, of the things they eat, the way they do things, all of it. Like he is literally has claws, he has teeth, like very sharp teeth, and she is just this pale redheaded human. So it is very different, but I like the friends to lovers aspect in the arranged marriage because I feel like with arranged marriage, most of them that I have on this list, they're all enemies to lovers. So I wanted to throw at least one friends to lovers out there for anyone who does love friends to lovers, but Radiance by Grace Draven is one of my favorites. So pick it up if you haven't read it already. I think Grace Draven is an amazing storyteller. The next book I have is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. This is the first book in the Brutal Birthright series, and yes, this is an arranged marriage. This is the new, I think this is the indie version, but these are the new covers and they have illustrations in them. I was actually thoroughly surprised by some of the illustrations because they are NSFW, but this is an enemies to lovers arranged marriage, and this is an enemies to lovers where they, I don't even think it's enemies. I think it's truly hate to love. They truly hate each other. They come from rival mafia families. So both families are in Chicago and they're rivaling families. One of them is Irish and I think one is Italian if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. But I thought this book was so fun. The things that they do after they're forced to get married. Basically, the reason why they're forced to get married is our female character is kind of goes into a party that our main male character's family is having, and she basically almost sets their house on fire on accident. I will say it's on accident, but she takes something of his and they just start this warring family thing all over again, even though they've kind of kept the peace for most of the years. And so both of the fathers are you know what? You both caused this, you're both going to get married to each other and you're going to have to deal with those consequences. And they're both oh my God. Now the strawberries are part of the wedding day. I'm not going to say what it is, but when I read that scene, I laughed out loud. If you know, you know. If you haven't read it, wait till you get to it. You're going to laugh out loud. It was absolutely hilarious. But once they get married, they're forced to live together. And that's even more of a challenge because they're literally they're very strong-headed, they're both stubborn, so it just makes for a very good book. And I actually did love the romance that came out of it. Hate to love, sometimes you don't always believe the romance at the end of the book, but I did with this one. It's a great start to the Brutal Birthright series, so pick this up if you haven't already. But I feel like this is an extremely popular book anyway. The next one I have is King of Wrath by Anna Huang. So this is the first book in her Kings of Sins series. So basically, each book is going to be one of the 7 deadly sins. King of Wrath is the first one. Now, this is an arranged marriage romance, but most of this book takes place while they're still engaged, which I thought was interesting because I haven't read a romance like that. It's usually once they get married, they're forced to be around each other, forced proximity, all of that. And that's when they start falling in love, is because they're forced in the same house or whatever after they get married. But this one is actually more so when they're engaged. Now, because our female characters, a family owes something to the main male character's family, so they're forced to get married. And they It's not like they don't like each other. It's just like they just like are kind of indifferent to each other. But I like the way that Anna Huang wrote this. I love this series and I cannot wait for the next book, King of Greed, to come out for everyone to read it. This is a great start to the series and all of her heroes are different. They have similar qualities, which I think makes them so addicting and why everyone loves them, but they're also very different. So yeah, I love this one. I want to throw this one out there just in case if you haven't read it, just in case. The next one is A Wild Ride. It is a banana story and it is a wild ride and it's not going to be for everyone, but I want to throw it out there. And that is My Dark Romeo by LJ Shen and Parker S. Huntington. This is a wild ride because basically our main male character, he forces our female character into an arranged marriage. Basically, you know when you read historicals and like they're forced into an arranged marriage, or a marriage of convenience type of a thing because she's put into like a compromising position. That's basically what happens. Our female character is from a very Southern family and our main male character has his own reasons for putting her into this very like precarious situation, I guess you can say. And basically she goes to, and that means our main male character goes to her father and was like, hey, I know how I put her in a compromising position. I'm going to marry her because I know she's like damaged now. Even though she was supposed to marry someone else, like she was already engaged for a different arranged marriage to someone else. And he's like, no, she's going to be mine. After she gets married to him and is forced to live with him, she does some legit crazy stuff. Like, some of the most banana things I've ever read in a book. This is just a really good time. I would go in with very low expectations, but it's a fun ride if you're willing to give it a chance, okay? The next one I have is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. So this is a very beloved fantasy romance series. I really love it. Now, our female character, she is very strong. She is trained from birth to basically infiltrate the other kingdom and basically bring down that kingdom from within. So like I said, she's trained from birth. So the only reason why she is able to infiltrate that kingdom is because the king of her kingdom basically forced this arranged marriage. But he's doing it because he wants to take it down from within. You know what I mean? So she is a very, very, very strong female character. And I love that because sometimes with fantasy romances, the female character can be a little weak and naive. She is not like that. She is very independent and she can do anything. But when she meets him, he's everything like the complete opposite of what she was taught that he was going to be. So it's a very interesting dynamic. So this book does kind of end on a cliffhanger. So you're going to have to read the second book. But I really enjoyed this. I love the dynamic between the characters. I love that she internally struggled with, oh, I'm supposed to, do all these things that I was taught and learned from birth to do. I'm starting to feel something for him. So I love that kind of torn, like internal debate that she has going on. I thoroughly enjoyed it and I think it's a really good fantasy romance for fall or winter. So definitely pick it up if you haven't read it already. The audiobook is very good. The next one is Dante by Bethany-Kris. So this is a mafia romance, arranged marriage. And the reason why I love this book in particular as an arranged marriage romance recommendation that I want more people to read is because while he is head of the mafia family, or he's going to take over for his father, of course he's supposed to get married first. That is just a very traditional way of Italian mafia life where they have to get married before they take over because if they don't have a wife, to the commission, they seem very like weak, you know what I mean? Even though they're not, it's just an archaic way of thinking. Dante organizes his own arranged marriage. Like usually it's the parents that do this. He goes out and finds this woman, Katerina, herself, like goes out there and finds her to marry so his dad doesn't have to do that. So he basically picks someone that he thinks is going to complement him really well, someone who is just as strong as him, someone who can basically head the family with him rather than just being a, woman in the background just staying at home. She is such a fiery firecracker of a female character. I adore her. This is such an amazing romance too. Like there's so many twists and turns that I guarantee you're never going to see coming. Guarantee you're not going to see coming. And of course I'm saying that so you're like, oh, I'm going to be on the lookout. Yeah, you're going to be on the lookout and you're still not going to figure out what the plot twist is. I loved it. It is one of my favorites by Bethany-Kris. I think everyone should read it. The next one I have is Killers and Monsters by Clio Evans. So this one was very interesting. It is a monster romance. Our female character, she is part of a mafia family and she gets married off by her uncle to her husband, who is actually a dragon shifter. Yes, He's a legit dragon. I recently read this and I'm obsessed with this book. I haven't stopped thinking about it. It is super spicy. It is a polyamorous relationship because once she gets married off, her husband just puts her into this mansion and was like, hey, stay here. So 10 years go by. She's now 28. She's seen him twice and now he's come back and he's like, you know what? I'm going to try and have a relationship with you now that you're not like 18, basically a child. You know, he's lived for a very long time, but she has already fallen in love with her bodyguard. Her bodyguard is the one person that's lived with her in this mansion, but he cannot touch her because he made a deal with her husband. The only reason why he can be there is if he doesn't touch her. It turns messy really quickly, but I loved it, and I think that more people need to read it. I feel like this is a very underrated book. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited. I'll have the link in the description box below. It's an affiliate link, but all these books are linked in the description box below for you. The last one I have is a dark romance, and that is The Ritual by Shantel Tessier. This is the first book in this series, and I wanted to mention it because it takes the arranged marriage trope in a little bit different way, a very wild way. So there is this secret society while these characters are in college. It's only for the men, but basically if they stay abstinent for I think the first 3 years, so freshman to their junior year of college, the 4th year they are assigned a woman, and that person is the one that they can just like do anything with or whatever. But the female characters like no, because they're all part of like different families that are part of the society, so they know that something is coming. So she's assigned to our main male character, Riot, I think his name is Ryat. He's bananas, but he's like a alpha hole possessive character that's just like, I feel like he's like borderline sociopath, if that makes sense. Like, I really enjoyed this and it was bananas, but I wanted to throw it out there because it takes this whole arranged marriage thing differently, because that person that they're assigned to is the person that they're supposed to marry. So she's actually dating another person in this society that she's not assigned to. Like I said, it's very dark. Just check your triggers. And there's twists and turns in this as well. So if you're looking for a darker romance, not necessarily paranormal for the fall, check out this one. It made its round on TikTok a while ago, and that's why I picked it up, but it was a great time, so I would recommend it. But those are all of the arranged marriage romances I have to share with you. What kind of emoji? Drop this emoji, because I can't think of one off the top of my head. Drop this emoji in the comments down below if you've made it this far. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content for me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.